So would you mind introducing yourself briefly, including your name, class year, how long you were at Academy, and what you were involved in while you were here?
I am Andrea Helf Reid. I am Vice President of Franklin Art Glass Studios. I graduated from PostAcademy in 1999, and I started in fifth grade. I think that was 1990. It was the first year that girls were allowed at Academy.
That's pretty awesome. What was that like being in the first wave of girls?
It was interesting. There were 5 girls in our class, which was kind of shocking, going from public school where there was pretty much a 50-50 ratio to going to being one of 5 girls in a class of 50-some students, being with kids who weren't quite used to co-education yet. It was a learning curve for everybody, but it was great. I mean, I have no complaints about my experience.
That's super cool. So did the 5 girls that came in the first class, were those the 5 that graduated with you too, or did more come as you were at Academy?
Yeah. So every year that we were there, more girls were added. By the time we graduated, I think of the original 5, there was, I think, 4 of us who had made it from 5th grade through graduation. And then, every year there was more and more girls, and we got closer to that kind of 50-50 ratio, which was nice.
What is your current title and place of work?
So I am Vice President of Franklin Art Glass Studios. Franklin Art Glass is kind of like 3 businesses all rolled into one building. We are a retail showroom, so we sell supplies to hobbyists who do stained glass. We also sell kind of knickknacks, giftware. We're in German Village, so we are in a tourist location. So we got a lot of foot traffic, walk-in people who are visiting Columbus. So we have that. We are also a wholesaler, which means that we sell stained glass supplies to smaller studios across the country. We sell supplies to schools like Ohio State who are doing glass programs. We sell supplies to other small kind of mom and pop stores, and supplies to people who are doing things like Amazon and eBay run stores. And then we are also a custom stained glass studio, which means we are creating new custom stained and leaded glass. We are doing repair work on existing stained glass, and we're creating things for commercial applications like universities, restaurants, businesses, things like that. So we're kind of a really multifaceted business all rolled into one tiny building.
In a couple of sentences, how would you summarize what you do for Franklin Art Glass Studios as vice president?
Everything. We're a small business. We're a family-owned business. I am the 4th generation to work under the banner of Franklin Art Glass. I am the 5th generation in my family to work in the stained glass industry. So when you work for a small business, when it's your business, and when you're doing as many facets and as many different things as we're doing, you have to be the sort of person who can wear a lot of hats. So my job is basically chief operating officer of our custom department. So I'm running our custom studio. I'm selling jobs and kind of keeping tabs on that. I'm also human resources and payables and receivables, sometimes social media marketing.
That's amazing. Where did you go for your post-academy degrees? And did you feel like Academy did a good job of preparing you for success at this school?
So I went to Wittenberg University. I have just an undergrad degree. I chose Wittenberg University because they're a small liberal arts college. They have a program where you can design your own degree. So I graduated with what's called an interdepartmental degree. So I had the luxury of going in and saying, I know what I want to go to school for, but I don't want to do all business because I feel like I need an art background. Don't want to do all art. I need both, basically. I need everything. I need to go in prepared. So I was able to work with a advisor and come up with a class plan and program to get me the right amount of art, get me the right amount of business, and then still have a balanced education and all the other things that you think you may never need, but you end up needing. And I think Academy really prepared me for that, because just like in college, you have to take a lot of classes in high school that you think never going to use all of these things. But you go in having experienced so much at Academy, having been pushed by your teachers, having been forced to learn things outside your comfort zone. And so when you get to college and you're exposed to these things that are outside your comfort zone, you're not afraid. You're ready for it. You know how to handle these things.
That's great to hear because, obviously about to be going to college. So hope that prepared me well.
It will. Don't worry. It seems tough at the time, and when your teachers are kind of pushing you and you have the right answer and they're pushing you, okay, that's the right answer. Now, why? The critical thinking aspect that you learn at Academy becomes so invaluable when you get to college.
So it kind of sounds like when you first got to college, you knew like you wanted to, get into art and business and probably go into your family's business. And so is this something that you knew you wanted to do kind of from like the start of high school, middle school, or did you discover this as you were getting to college?
I knew it was there, obviously. I grew up with this. This is what my dad did. This is what my grandfather did. This is what my great grandfather did. I mean, I knew this was there, but I think in high school, my first reaction was that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else, And so I really had this idea that maybe I was going to become a vet, and that maybe that was my career path, and that I would go off and do something different. And the closer I got to graduation, the more I realized how special what we do is and how unique Franklin Art Glass does. I think also I had a conversation with my mom. I said, I'm gonna be a vet. And she said, being a vet is not just helping animals. You have to sometimes put animals down, that it can be really tough. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. So I realized that going into an art-based field, while still tough, I mean, there are still days that are hard, but that was fulfilling, and that would really be something that fulfilled me. I really have always had a strong art focus in my life, even from the time I was little. Always a strong appreciation for not just glass art, because I've seen a lot of it, but all types of art. And I as I got towards the end of high school, I really realized I would be crazy to pass this up. How many people get to have a career in art? It's a tough field. And so by the time I got to my senior year, I had really decided that's where I was going to go. And then the senior project rolls around and I thought, well, what a good excuse to try this out. So my senior project was making the stained glass window that's in, what used to be the senior lounge. I don't know if it's still the senior lounge, but making that stained glass window. And it was a great use to try that on, see if that really was a good fit, see if I really did actually enjoy that. That solidified it.
That's amazing. So you kind of talked about that senior project. What other experiences helped prepare you for this career? College, did you have any internships? Were there any specific classes that you took?
I was really fortunate at Academy. I had Mrs. Wilson as my art teacher through all of my high school experience. And there were a couple other people in my grade who were also really art focused. And she always made it a point to literally create classes for us. The further along we got and the further advanced we got, she realized that she could create these classes that were not just painting, not just pottery, not just drawing. She was creating these multifaceted classes that were, as they were called on paper, craft classes, but it was really the ability to learn this diverse field of the arts. And so that started me on the path of understanding that art can be so many other things than just what you see in the museums. You think that art has to be a Monet or a Renoir, or, it has to be this certain thing. And you get exposed to so many other things that is really eye-opening. So that experience kind of led me to understand that stained glass, which I'm in, is not just a craft, it's an art. And so fast forward to college, I had some really amazing advisors who also had that foresight and that understanding that being exposed to different forms of art can really open your mind and expand your understanding and make you a better artist. So I was able to work into my art degree classes outside of what my school was offering. They weren't offering stained glass classes. They weren't offering anything in glass, but I was able to go to local museums, find places that had hot glass studios, and go and take classes and earn credit hours in doing glass blowing and fusing and things that really interested me. And, other things too that the school was offering. I was able to take silver jewelry and, of course, painting and drawing and all the typical things. But that variety of experience really helped to drive my ability as an artist, my understanding of the arts and the crafts field. And I really credit a lot of those experiences to where I am today.
That's really impressive. You went out on your own and pursued all those different classes. That's really amazing. Did CA Connections help you at all on your journey to becoming where you are now?
I mean, I don't think I really got any helping hands in that aspect, but I had a lot of support. I think the CA community is so strong. It's not just you leave and you're gone. You leave, but you still have all these connections to your amazing friends and the just above and beyond faculty who are always there supporting you. I always knew that Mrs. Wilson and Mr. Neal, our middle school art teacher, they were a phone call away. And even as I've gotten settled into my position and at work, I still see them. We still talk art, we talk about anything. And that support and that knowing that those connections are there and so strong is so invaluable. It really helps build that confidence that I think you need to go out on your own and to really push forward.
Yeah, I feel really lucky, to have the rapport I have with some of the teachers at school. Yeah, I think that's one of the most amazing things about Academy.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen teachers at reunions or stop by school, or, I have two at school. So I sometimes see some teachers, and it's just amazing how you can feel like you can pick up right where you left off, and they're so excited for you. I mean, they're happy to hear what you're doing, and they're happy to see what you're doing in your life. I mean, they really genuinely care. It's not for show. I mean, they are all in on you. And that support is just, it's amazing. It really is.
Kind of pivoting away from Academy and more back to your career, what is something that would surprise people about your work?
In the stained glass art, I think probably what most surprises people is that we don't use computers. So if you walked into our drafting room, there's not a computer. There's not a CAD machine. There's not a plotter. You will see pencil and paper, giant rolls of paper, rulers, giant squares. We don't have water jet cutters. We're not fully automated. I think a lot of people are surprised at how quiet it is because it's handmade. It's hand tools. It's not these giant machines putting stock windows together. We are doing custom one-off leaded glass designs. So every piece is different. Everything is a completely different shape, a different color. I think that really floors a lot of people when I show them around, and they're like, where are the computers? I mean, we have them, don't get me wrong. We run a e-commerce store, and we do billing and bookkeeping and, all the boring things on computers. But, there's no magic paint machine. There's still paintbrushes. There's, sometimes we're using quills, real feathers off of birds that, we've carved the tips on, and a lot of hand-me-down tools that we've been using for 90 years are still in play and still being used.
That's really amazing. I'm sure that's a space, like I'd love to see that space.
It's interesting. I mean, there's something serene and kind of special about the space that we occupy. It really kind of sets the tone and sets the mood for what we do.
So has COVID changed the way you work or the way you do business? If yes, what has changed? If no, why has your work been able to stay the same?
I mean, yeah, it definitely has. So if you look at our retail space, we were closed due to COVID. Our retail area was. We were lucky enough, though, that our studio and custom area did not have to close. We did fall under that essential business in the aspect that we do repair work. So, if you had a leaded glass side light and it got busted by the paper boy or a dog, we were still able to operate doing repairs like that. When business reopened, there was a lot of challenges navigating that uncertainty of what is safe. How do we keep our employees safe? Number one, we're 20 employees. And while we don't work in necessarily tight or close quarters, we do have a lot of space. We're in about a 35,000 square foot facility for 20 people. So we're able to space out, but still just that ever constant concern of keeping everybody safe. We're a family. So you do worry about that. And then when our retail showroom opened, that kind of constant concern of following the rules, masks, getting hand sanitizer for a while, that was unbelievably difficult for us. Getting those necessary tools to keep our business clean was really hard. So, a lot of those challenges we've met and now are just the norm. Getting used to wearing a mask 8 hours a day is interesting. But, we've managed it and we've made adjustments and now we're back up and fully functioning. The only difference right now that we still have is, we have to limit our occupancy in our front retail showroom, which can be hard when we have a bunch of people in and you have to tell somebody, I'm sorry. I know it's 10 degrees outside, but you're going to have to wait until, we have some more room to let you in for it to be safe. But really, things have really come back online and we've found a nice plateau and a nice way to operate at this point.
That's really good to hear. Do you believe that there are any specific personal attributes that have allowed you to be successful in your career?
I think anybody going into the art field, creativity is probably number one. In the art field, when you're selling art that you're creating, you need that creativity. You need something that's going to set you apart from somebody else. Pride and craftsmanship, whether you're a painter or, you work in clay, you need to have a good skill set to be able to sell your work. You don't want to be a hack at what you do. You want to be the best at what you do. So that drive and that want to be the best is really important. I think also the ability to be multifaceted. You could be a great artist, but if you can't sell your work, you're not really a great artist. You're just a good artist who makes it for yourself. You need to be able to promote and market and have that confidence to say, look at my artwork. It is great and you need it because. So you really have to be able to possess quite a few strong attributes to make it work. Being an art is not for the faint of heart. It really is. It's a lot tougher than I think it gets credit for.
Yeah, you hear all the time about what are people going to do with an art degree? But clearly, tons of successful people like you who use the art degree in conjunction with with a business degree. And, you end up with an amazing career like with the Franklin Art Glass Studio. So then for students interested in entering this field, what steps would you recommend they take?
Back to what I just said, I think it's really important to be multifaceted. I think it is important to not only master your craft, but also push yourself outside of that, to push yourself into the business aspect of it, marketing aspect of it. A lot of times as artists, we don't want to do business and we don't want to do marketing. That's why we're artists. We're not wired to think that way. We would much rather be creating something than worrying about the accounting or payroll. But I would really recommend going into it and not just putting all your eggs in one basket, and even if you're not going into the stained glass field, if you're going into marketing, well, you need that art and you need that marketing and you need that social media. So, really pushing yourself past just the art. For artists, the art can be the easy part. The rest of it is the hard part. So staying focused on the hard part sometimes.
Looking back, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were first starting your career? Or is there something you wish someone would have told you before you started down this career path?
If somebody told me something, I probably wouldn't have listened to it anyways. But I am one of those people who has to kind of learn from my own mishaps, own experiences. I remember when I first started out, so we're commission based. So everything we do we make on commission based on customer hiring us to create something custom for them. So I had a relatively well-known business person in Columbus commission Franklin for a piece of art in his home. And when he came in, I walked out and I started talking to him and walked him to the back to show him his design. And before we even got back there, he looked at me and said, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 22. And he said, "I have suits older than you. Is there somebody else here who has some more experience, or, like a senior artist man who could help me?" And I thought, I was gobsmacked. I had no idea how to react to this. I didn't know. So fast forward past that experience, and that really threw me for a loop. That really took me a long time to get past and to move forward on. And looking back now, I would tell myself, to stand true to yourself, be proud of the art that you create, and stand behind it. Use that art to stand up for yourself, even if you're young and somebody thinks maybe you aren't experienced and maybe you don't have enough years to have been this great artist. And maybe you're not, you're still starting, but to stand behind your art and let your art talk for you. I think that was a really hard lesson for me to learn. It really, in the beginning, put a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I had to really prove myself and maybe push me a little too far the other way. And sometimes made me a little nervous to take on some big commissions. But as I got into the groove and I kind of reestablished that confidence, I realized that that was just one person who probably didn't mean it the way it came off, but it really affected me. And so I think I would kind of reassure myself when getting started that, you can do this. This is okay. Be proud of the work that you're making.
That's wonderful advice. Is there anything else you would like to add that we haven't yet discussed? I
think, anybody going into the arts field, go for it. Do it. Don't be afraid. Sometimes we all, like you said, sometimes it's just, you think of art and it's not always thought of as this tough field, but it really can be. Follow your heart. You can do it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it.